Hello, everyone. My name is Jalen Jones, digital producer here at WRAL. I'm here with Will Doran, NC Capitol team. We're recording this today on March the 4th. Yesterday, we had North Carolina primaries. This man is a little bit tired. I saw him come in with a big old liter of coffee, got to recharge. He knows exactly what happened last night. What happened last night? What are the highlights? What do you got for us?
Yeah, Jalen, we are fresh and ready to go breaking down these races.
Yes, we are.
And, there was really no surprise in the biggest races in the state, which were the U.S. Senate primaries. Going into this, everyone expected that Roy Cooper would win on the Democratic side, that Michael Whatley would win on the Republican side. That is exactly what happened. I mean, Roy Cooper just blew the field away, 93% of the vote.
Yeah.
And this was against, there were 6 people running in that race. I think the second place candidate had 2%. So just goes to show just what a force he is in state politics. Michael Whatley, again, he had a 7-person race and he still managed to get 2/3 of the vote, more than all of the other candidates combined. So, both of them put on a really strong showing going for this race. And this just really sets up what we're expecting to be a just slugfest of a general election between the two of them. This is a huge seat, not just for North Carolina, but potentially nationally. I mean, this seat could help determine which party controls the U.S. Senate going forward.
Big deal.
There's a handful of seats in the country this year that Democrats think they can flip. You're looking at Maine, Texas, North Carolina, maybe one or two others, but Republicans currently have 53 seats in the Senate. So, if they can flip Maine and North Carolina, maybe a Texas in there, they can break control of the Senate. And, going into 2028, when we have the next presidential election, that could be huge.
Yes.
And so there's going to be a ton of attention nationally here on North Carolina. It's an open seat because Tom Tillis is stepping down. He has decided not to run for re-election after just getting on the wrong side of President Trump one too many times. The MAGA base was just fed up with him. They wanted fresh blood. In steps Michael Whatley. There were some people in the GOP base who thought that Whatley wasn't really quite MAGA enough, even though he did have President Trump's endorsement, that he is the establishment. He was the head of the North Carolina Republican Party and then the National Republican Party. I mean, that's as establishment as you come. So people who want those outsiders, they really, we saw last night, liked Don Brown, another candidate in the Senate race, but that was only about 15% of the vote in the GOP primary. So that Trump endorsement really definitely helped put Whatley over the line.
Oh, man. Wow. There's a lot of big things and a lot of things that are kind of domino effect all the way to 2028. And you kind of have to make sure you guys are paying attention to WRAL.com because you guys can catch these dominoes and see how they fall as everything's leading up to 2028 and also how things here locally are actually affecting things in Washington. So talk to me a little bit congressionally. What happened with the House races?
Yeah. So while there was no drama in these U.S. Senate races, there was definitely some drama in the House races. And what we saw was one really competitive Democratic primary and one really competitive Republican primary that we were following, both kind of in central eastern North Carolina. So let's start with the Triangle area and Representative Valerie Foushee. She's been in office for 2 terms. She was seeking a 3rd term, but she was going up against a challenger, Nida Allam, who's a Durham County commissioner, had Bernie Sanders backing her campaign, really running this outsider, more progressive sort of campaign. And she was seeking to take down Foushee, who is, a progressive herself, but that being said, definitely the favorite of the party establishment. She was endorsed by Roy Cooper and Josh Stein and all of, the congressional Democrats. She was really the establishment pick. And Allam was trying to take her down, saying that she was too beholden to corporate interests and that she just wasn't really aggressive enough. This is a deep blue district. It's Durham, Chapel Hill, Pittsboro, Cary, Apex. I mean, this is one of the most liberal districts in the entire country, not just in North Carolina.
Exactly. I learned that, and we talked about that often.
Yeah. And so Allam was saying, look, when you have a safe Democratic seat like this, you need someone in that who is going to be out there and is going to be very aggressive and outspoken and not just show up and vote the right way, but, make a scene, make a name for yourself, really kind of take it to the Trump administration. And she was saying that Foushee just hadn't done that well enough. And it doesn't look like she was able to pull it off. This race isn't quite over yet. It looks like it's still within the margin that Allam could call for a recount. So we should know more in about the next 10 days or so. By mid-March, they're going to count the provisional ballots, count any of the overseas ballots, from members of the military or, college students who are studying abroad, anyone else who lives overseas. That'll all be counted by March 13th.
Okay.
And then after that, we'll see if the race is still within a 1% margin of error, which it currently is. Then whoever's behind will be able to call for a recount. And Allam did say that, she would likely, do that if she's able to call for a recount and try to keep the fight going.
Okay, talk to me about the House seat out east a little bit. What happened there?
So this, people might remember, is the seat that Republicans redistricted last year.
Yes.
It was part of this whole national gerrymandering war between the GOP and the Democratic Party. Texas and Virginia and California.
I remember that.
Utah,
yes.
All of these states getting involved. In North Carolina was already gerrymandered heavily in favor of the Republican Party, which our state Supreme Court has said is okay. And Republican politicians have freely acknowledged, that yes, we are drawing these lines to give ourselves the biggest advantage possible. But they said, well, we thought that we had given ourselves the biggest advantage possible. Actually, we found this one seat in East North Carolina that we think we can tweak a little bit to make it even more favorable to the GOP, and that was Don Davis's seat. This was actually a Trump-supporting seat in 2024, but a pretty close and competitive one that Davis won. He's a moderate Democrat, and so he was able to convince some of the moderate or undecided voters in that area who liked Trump and voted for him for president to also send him to D.C. And he's broken with the Democratic Party on immigration in particular, some agricultural issues. This is a really rural area. It's Rocky Mount.
It's pretty big.
Right. Just really the whole kind of northeastern quarter of the state. But they redrew that so that it wasn't, a Trump plus 2 or 3 district. Now it's like a Trump plus 10 or 11 kind of district. So it's going to be much more favorable to the Republican. And we now know, because of the primary last night, who that Republican is going to be. It's going to be Laurie Buckhout, who's actually the same candidate who lost to Don Davis in 2024. And so, the challenge was always, okay, how do you convince voters that even though you lost in a Trump-supporting district last time, hey, give me another chance? And she did it. It was a close race between her and Asa Buck, who's the Carteret County Sheriff down in the Moorhead City area. He grew up there, has been the sheriff for close to 20 years, and he narrowly lost. He almost pulled off the victory here, but Buckout was able to pull it off in the end.
These margins are so thin. Well, thank you so much for the highlights. And again, if you're watching this, make sure you guys go to WRAL.com/NC Capital. I know we have another one. We're going to be talking about Paige Berger in that race.
I mean, talk about a thin margin. This is Phil Berger, the state Senate leader, arguably the most powerful politician in North Carolina, currently losing, according to these unofficial results, by 2 votes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
2 votes.
Wow. Okay.
Insane. So, I mean, that one's obviously headed to, recount everything. I mean, there's going to be lawyers involved. This race is not over by a long shot. We have different analysis of that in a separate video that people can find online.
Yes, we will. We're going to keep you covered here at WRAL. If you're watching this video, make sure you like this video, subscribe. It's totally free. Doesn't sign you up for anything. Make sure that the latest is in your feeds. Guys, stay tuned. WRAL.com, NC Capital team, our amazing team. They stayed up late last night. You went to bed at 2 a.m., and now you're back up at it. We really appreciate you, Will.
Hey, that's the job. It's fun. We love it.
Love it. Thank you.
Thanks.